Thank you for joining us. My guest tonight is Sergeant Nathaniel Garrison of the Vermont National Guard. And then happy Veterans Day.
Thanks, man.
Um, Veterans Day is for is that active duty included in veterans?
Yes, we kind of like take it upon ourselves to be like, you're not veteran status until you've been in for a minute.
Yeah,
Possibly even like once you get out, it's like a given. But but yeah, active duty still counts on it.
yeah. You've served enough time that you're a veteran. You've done your service for our country. I guess someone in boot camp hasn't yet earned it, but once you've put some time on the ground
Yeah,
and you've had some cool experiences, I understand that there's probably a limit to what you can openly share on Facebook. Um, but maybe you could talk a little bit about some of your favorite memories in the armed services, some of the things that it doesn't necessarily mean warm fuzzy. It just means things that stand out to you as being significant and impactful in your time in the service.
Hmm. Well, I mean, so the biggest thing with my service and most likely every other veteran service is just the other people that you're with.
Mhm.
That is a huge, huge part of being in the military is the brotherhood,
Mhm.
the friends you make. You'll never forget them.
Yep.
I had friends 6 years ago from basic training that we still keep in contact,
Mhm.
check up on each other when we get back from missions, deployments, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But the people for sure. My biggest thing, I've been thinking about it for a couple of days since you asked me to do this. I think the number one issue I had, and it still is very prominent in my life, is that it's hard for me to do something that I know that I'm not going to genuinely enjoy. It is very hard for me to wrap it around my brain, like, hey, this is gonna suck, and I don't really see it going anywhere, but it's important that I do it. Those
So,
tasks are nearly impossible for me to do.
so we call that like non-preferred tasks. That would be the executive functioning phrase, right? Like it's not preferred, therefore it's going to take an act of God to make it happen. But yet you follow orders, right?
Exactly. So funny story. My mom, after I got back from basic training, she looked at me. She's like, "I didn't think you were gonna do it. I didn't think you were gonna make it, just because of how awful I was at listening to
I
commands from
know. I
orders."
mean, I remember that, and I knew that would take you far in life. That you were an independent thinker. I never would have guessed the military. I really I wouldn't have.
Me
And
neither.
yet it's been like you said, it's not been linear. So here you are, a student who is hard to focus, hard to get you to do non-preferred tasks. Very bright. That was never an issue. Like your capacity to learn was never an issue. It was your capacity to produce academic work when it was non-preferred. That was the issue.
Correct.
And that the model of school didn't really fit. You were your own kind of person, and you obviously made it through. But how was the decision made then to join the military?
Honestly, it was kind of like a rock bottom last resort. I mean, I had an apartment, I had friends, I had a job. I wasn't at like what you would think of rock bottom, rock bottom. I just knew that I wasn't going anywhere from where I was. And I didn't want to get stuck in a monotonous cycle.
Mm,
I needed something more, and I was always into the adrenaline filled sports of like snowboarding, longboarding,
mhm.
just doing stuff that I know gives me that rush. And in the back of my mind, I just like I'd always watch a video about basic training here or watch like a war movie here, and it's something sparked in my brain every single time. It's like, why not? Let me look into it. And then I found the National Guard because I knew there was no way I was going to do this full time every day. I was like, let me dip my toes in with the Guard, see what it's like doing it on a weekend, twice a week in the summer. I think that was a really, really good choice. I also made sure that I got the largest contract I could up front because I knew I would back out of it if I didn't. And I think that was a really intelligent choice because around that 3 year mark, around the short contract, I was starting to feel like I don't really like this. This isn't really fun anymore. And that's where I really grew into butting the bullet a little bit more,
Mhm.
understanding that even if I don't want to do something, tasks have purpose, and that purpose is going to lead to my greater good and the organization's greater good. So I kind of developed that pride.
Yeah. Because you've taken a position of leadership.
Correct.
So now you're the one telling people to do things they don't want to do.
Correct.
So how do you go about that, right? Like part of what I want to talk to you tonight is like how to build independence without, you know, humiliation, right? We still want to build people up. We don't want to make them so they don't believe in themselves. It's actually quite the opposite, right? To be a good leader, you
Exactly
want
the opposite.
so how do you get someone to do a non-preferred task? Like what is your like mindset going through that?
So before you become a sergeant or a non-commissioned officer, corporal, in the military, you go to this school called BLC, Basic Leadership Course, and they teach you something I really, really latched onto there. Again, I felt like the academic. I felt like I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. This doesn't matter to me. But what really came out into my face was empathy. Being an empathetic leader and servant leadership. It's a huge military term I had never heard before I went to this school. I didn't really feel like any of my leaders were being servant leaders at the time. It's leading through example, being empathetic, and that doesn't mean being that warm and fuzzy, hey, you don't have to do this, it's okay. It's being stern, honest. And what I will do is I will go through the motions of explaining why we're doing the task, how it benefits them, me, and the organization, and give some kind of story about how I used to do the task and how I made it more enjoyable.
Had a hard time focusing on tasks, but yet had to hyper focus when it came to like, right? Because that's the ADHD thing. So like, I'm just thinking of your typical neurodivergent kid, and I know that we really can't talk about any specifics, but I'm gonna make the assumption that you are around equipment that has the ability to cause lethal means onto other people.
Oh, absolutely.
And so like you have to be really focused. You have to be dialed in all the time, right? So how did like the ADHD brain is still there? That's still you. I know it. It's
So,
right, but
yeah,
yet like how did you harness the superpower? Is what I'm really asking.
I don't know if I actually found a way to consciously do it. I think I put myself into a role where I knew it would do it subconsciously. So, like you said, there's that hyperfixation point. When I'm out on a range, I'm a 240 gunner. I'm a machine gun team leader right now. So when I'm out on a range, it's a very dangerous job. Lots of bad things can happen. I think that adrenaline is what drove me to I'm going to learn everything about this weapon system. I'm going to learn about everything about first aid that I can, all of the issues that could go wrong with this weapon system to hurt me and the people around me, so that I could potentially save a life if I need to, so I can employ this weapon system correctly and efficiently. I think the fact that it's such a dangerous job, really, it is what hyper fixated me on it and allows me to get that, like, uh, everything's clear, if that makes sense. Like not the voices, but like the static in my brain just stops and everything is slow motion. Everything works the way it should, crystal clear.
If you were doing something mundane, you could get lulled into a real quickly, and but what you're doing is not mundane, and therefore you've forced yourself, knowing yourself, you've put yourself in a high-paced environment to make sure that you were stimulated so that you would stay engaged.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's entirely healthy. That stress is what makes me feel calm, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, so do you see yourself career being in the military, or?
I think it would just be financially irresponsible not to do 20 years and get a pension out of it.
Right.
Being as I'm already 6 years in.
Yeah, totally. The pension is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Benefits can't be understated. That's like a thing that young people don't really think about very often. That
it's hard to look 10 years ahead when you've only been alive for 18 years.
Yeah, totally. But then when you're 28 and you're halfway in, you're like, this is good.
Yeah.
So you put in your 20 years, and then you go out into the civilian world. Like, what do you want us to know about the military that civilians don't really know?
Okay, so to dial in on the kids that might either want to join, definitely know they don't want to join. There's a lot of different routes you can take in the military. You don't have to be anything to do with combat. Like, a large, like, you think about military, you think about wars. There are an infinite amount of jobs that have nothing to do with holding a weapon system. We've got like radiologists. Like, you go into any kind of medical field, there's a military application for that will then pay for you to get certified and go to school to take that skill into the civilian world. So if you've got a job in your mind and you really want to do it, you can work on a pension, work on your school and certifications to do it then in the civilian world when you're done with the military. Just putting that out there. I don't want to sound like a recruiter, but that is like, it's there,
It's
man.
the benefit. I mean,
It's
that's
a free resource. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's your time and your life. But,
yeah, I was gonna say it's not free. You earned it. So, but yes, understood. And then what about like just the regular civilian? You know, we talked before the call that it's just an interesting time geopolitically.
Yeah, politically it is an interesting time, and I can't get into the politics of it as much. But what I would say is, the people in the military are not bad people. So when we get sent somewhere, when we get orders to do something, it's our job. We got to do it. And we all have the best interest for the American people in our minds and hearts all the time. A lot of things can get spun this way, that way about it, what we're thinking, what we're doing. We just want to go home and see our family.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
My grandpa, I keep coming back to him because he's like my connection to military, but he always talked about how just like everyone that was in the military was everyone. You had all the different people, all the different walks of life. Like the one thing you had in common is that you all used the same latrine, he used to say, you know, like that was it. Otherwise, they were all different people from all different walks of life. And like you're saying, they're good. They're all people. They're not like this crazed stereotype that might be portrayed.
You've got people making all these like laws and rules for the military, changing standards and whatnot. Everyone that's a soldier, the actual backbone of the military, there's no racism, there's no sexism, there's no ableism. Everyone is just doing the job and getting along with each other.
That's amazing. And
from my experience, from what I've seen.
And you know, I just don't know how else I can impact change, and I really want to. I really want to help.
I think one of the biggest things you did for me was you kind of started the snowball effect of confidence. A lot of the things we did, a lot of the projects we had at the summer success camps, and as well as getting me back there to be a counselor,
a mentor.
I think the confidence in who I was, the responsibilities you gave me, I think that is what started the change.
Yeah. And obviously some of that is hard to translate into the online world. When I'm working with people from around the country, they have their own little bubbles, and I was able to create my own bubble and then to foster growth within that. But you're right, that confidence is something I really believe. That's why I've named my program the Core Confidence Program, because that is it for me. Like if you could be confident, then you could do hard things, but it's when you're not confident that you're averse of hard things, and then you don't necessarily reach your full potential. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you always had that confidence a little bit in you as well. You always had a belief in self. I don't see your mom too much around. I do see her on social media, and your sister has grown up to be just like. I just think your mom is part of it. Her putting you and your brother and like just never ever letting you guys back down, and always just like whatever you wanted to do, even if other people thought it was risky, she had your back and she wanted you to do those things. She wanted you to live life. And so like your mom was such an important part of creating the people that her children are. And
she is still an important part to this day. Like I lean on her for a lot of emotional, spiritual, financial sometimes help. And she's always there. And I think that is another huge crucial part of having confidence just in life, is having that person there that is just always going to be there no matter when.
Yeah. So, Laura, if you're watching out there, I hope that you are, and I hope that you watch to the end so you can hear all the nice things that we said about you. But Than and I both think the world of you, and you're doing a great job as a mom and as a human being. All right. Put that out there. And Than, you too are doing a great job. All right, buddy. Thank you for your time.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.